1, 2, 3. Oh my God. Hello you guys, welcome back to another video. I cannot believe I'm filming this video. If you are watching this video, then the news is out. You guys know that we are expecting a baby this summer, coming this August. So surreal, so exciting. I have so much to catch you guys up on. I thought I would film kind of like a first trimester vlog, but just kind of check in with you guys as I go throughout my first trimester. I am currently 7 weeks and 4 days pregnant. It still feels so weird to say out loud because I haven't talked to anybody about this besides Kyle, really. So just even like saying pregnant out loud is so surreal. So I'll kind of catch you up on all things since we found out. So I have been keeping a list in my phone ever since I found out I was pregnant, just documenting things that I didn't think I would remember, symptoms, all sorts of things. So starting from the last video that you guys saw was me finding out that I was pregnant and telling Kyle. I kind of just showed a little clip of me telling Kyle. As you guys saw, I had a hard time getting a good camera angle on that, but it was such a special moment having him come home and tell him. It was a moment that I've always dreamed of. I honestly, of course I've been excited for everything about getting pregnant, but the thing I was most excited for was sharing this journey with Kyle, just because I know he'll be the best dad, because he's already the best friend and the best partner to me. So yeah, it makes me like emotional thinking about him being a dad, but I'm just so excited for that. But as you guys saw, I was totally surprised that I was pregnant. I did not think I was. I always imagined me finding out that I was pregnant being this moment of like, oh, my period's late, I'm having all these symptoms, I can just feel it, I know that I'm pregnant, getting ready to take the test and being excited to turn it around, filming my reaction. Like I totally planned on filming my reaction to finding out that I was pregnant, which I still kind of did, but as you guys saw, it was, I think, a Thursday morning, and I honestly didn't, the whole week I kind of came to the realization that I wasn't pregnant. I was really excited. I thought, this might be our month. It was the first month that we tracked my cycle, tracked my ovulation, and timed things right. So I thought, this might be it. But as I kind of mentioned, I feel like the video was like really chaotic because I was so excited. I had a little bit of spotting, just like really, really light period almost on that Tuesday. Yeah, or that Monday. And so right as I saw it, I immediately thought to myself, oh, like I'm starting my period early. I was just, really bummed. But of course I was just, didn't let it ruin my day. I was just going on my day. I thought it'll happen for us another time. It's no big deal. But I only spotted for a couple days. I had no idea that spotting is actually an early sign of pregnancy and that bleeding throughout your first trimester is actually entirely normal. It's really scary because bleeding that early on can be a sign of a miscarriage or a chemical pregnancy. So to me, it gave me more anxiety than anything, but it can be a sign of pregnancy. It's called implantation bleeding. My doctor told me later on, but yeah, I had no idea. I thought that I started my period, so I kind of gave up hope for that week, but I realized it was really light and it pretty much stopped after 2 days. And the funniest part of it all is that I decided I wanted to start tracking my basal body temperature for the next cycle. And I had heard friends that have done it before. They said that's a really good way to track your cycle and your ovulation. So a couple days prior to finding out, I bought a basal body thermometer and I just started messing around with it. Usually whenever you take your temperature with that, you have to do it every single morning at the exact same time for months to get a view of a consistent pattern of when your temperature goes up and down. And if you guys haven't heard about tracking your body temp, throughout your cycle. Basically, your body temperature will only go up just a smidge, like a half a point or 1 point around the time that you ovulate, and that's when your body kind of tells you like, okay, you ovulated, and then your temperature should stay high whenever and if you conceive, if you're pregnant. So I took my temperature, I think, on that Monday, and then that Tuesday, and then that Wednesday, just in the mornings, not really thinking anything of it, just truly just tracking for data reasonings, because I'd never done it before, so I didn't know anything about my body temperature. So I was tracking my temperature those mornings, and I think it was Thursday morning, I checked my temperature again, and I noticed that it had jumped like a whole degree and a half from the day before, which is not normal. Typically, your temperature won't change that much, and I took it at the exact same time. You're not supposed to move or like even stand up out of bed because that could change your temperature. So I took it still lying down in bed. Nothing had changed from the previous couple days, so I thought that was really weird that my temperature like skyrocketed. I knew that meant that I wasn't ovulating. I knew I wasn't ovulating because I had just previously ovulated a couple weeks before. So yeah, that was one thing that in the morning I was like, okay, my bleeding has stopped. I only bled for like 2 days. It was really light. It's completely stopped, and my body temperature is like spiking. So I woke up that morning, still not trying to get my hopes up because I'm sure like our bodies just do weird things. I was like, you know what? I'm like very new off of birth control. I'd been on birth control for 10 or 11 years. I knew that my body was going to be kind of weird trying to get back on a normal cycle. So I still was not trying to get my hopes up about anything. So I think I said in that video, I decided to take just one of those like cheapy test strips. And so I took it, and it was like, it looked stark negative to me. Like when I first took it and I glanced at it, I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Like it's negative. And I kind of went on with getting ready in the morning, and unfortunately I like dumped my morning pee, and then like a few minutes later I looked at it and I could have sworn I saw just like the faintest sign. Like honestly, other people probably couldn't even see it, even if I showed them to this day, but I swear it was like one of those things, if you held it in front of you and kind of like moved it, like you could see that there's like a little shadow. I still thought, okay, it's probably just like an indentation line, just a shadow. So I decided, I'm like, I'm just gonna like move on with my day. And so I started doing my makeup, and that's why in the video, my foundation's like half done. I have like my makeup headband on, and like in the middle of me doing my makeup, I just like had this urge. I was like, Madison, you did not start your period. That was just spotting. Your temperature spiked. That looked like a very faint line. Like I just like, I felt it deep down. I was like, you need to go take like a first response test. And so unfortunately I didn't have to pee, so I like chugged a bunch of water, and that's whenever I took a first response test. I don't know why I didn't film my reaction. I think I still was just like, but don't get your hopes up, you know, and me getting my camera out would have just like got my hopes up. So I took the test, set it down on the counter, was brushing my teeth, and like literally in the middle of me brushing my teeth, it literally, the second that it loaded, there was a line. Like it did not take any time for it to show up. It's a really faint line if you saw in the video. Didn't take any time for it to show up, but it was definitely there. Like my heart I could not believe what I was seeing, because even when you're trying to get pregnant, you like don't even really think it's going to happen. And so when you see that line, you're just like in disbelief. And so I saw the line. I immediately walked to the bathroom. I don't know. I just like had to walk away. I started pacing. I went and grabbed my camera because I immediately thought, oh, I really wanted to document this moment. So I went and grabbed my camera, and that's when the video started. So if you hadn't seen that previous video, go watch that video. But it was the craziest experience. The entire day was a blur. I had to go to work 10 minutes after taking that test. The entire day was a blur. I couldn't even talk to anybody about it. Kyle was at work. I couldn't tell him about it yet because I wanted to surprise him in person with something special. And I really wanted to take a digital test that said the word pregnant. Like I did not want to believe it, or I didn't let myself believe it until I saw that word. And so that's why in that video the next morning I took a test, and I really wanted to see those words, and those words popped up. And even though I saw the line the previous day, still seeing those words was the most surreal experience of my life. It feels like a dream looking back on that, but the best feeling in the world. And so again, I had to wait until that night to tell Kyle because I didn't want to just call him and tell him. I had to wait till he got home from work. And so I waited till he got home from work later that night and was able to tell him, and he couldn't believe it because I told him I had started my period that Tuesday or Monday. I said, the day that I started bleeding or spotting, looking back on it, I told him, I was like, oh, babe, like I started my period today. And he was like, all right, well, we'll try again next month, no big deal. So he fully thought I started my period. He was not expecting it. So when he came home, I put like the little onesie on the bed with the pregnancy test. The first thing he said was, did you lie to me? Like, he immediately thought I just lied to him about my period. I was like, no, I truly did think I started my period. And then I proceeded to tell him the whole crazy story of the events that I just told you. So he was really excited though. He hugged me, we hugged, and he told me he was really happy. And it was a really exciting time, but honestly, I didn't realize how like scared and nervous I would be. I always thought that when that moment came, I would be nothing but excited. But there was a part of me that was nervous that something would go wrong, or that, I would lose it, or, I was just so nervous and so scared. And I still definitely have a lot of those anxieties to this day. I'm still only 7 weeks, which is very early in your pregnancy. And it's been really hard for the last few weeks, especially not being able to talk to anybody else around it. No family, no friends, no. Just me and Kyle talk about it every single night. But we were able to go see the baby and see the heartbeat at our 6-week mark. So I found out that I was pregnant on December 14th, and I was able to go get my first ultrasound on January 2nd. So right after New Year's, I was able to go get my first appointment. And the reason why I got my first appointment so early, usually I think most doctors' offices wait till you're 7 or 8 weeks for your first appointment, but I ovulated late in my cycle. I knew it. But according to my gestational weeks, by January 2nd, I was supposedly 8 weeks pregnant. I knew that I ovulated a couple weeks late because I tracked my ovulation. I know the day that I got a positive ovulation test, and I knew the day that we conceived. I know some people say, well, you can't possibly know that. I know because I know I was ovulating, and I know when it happened, So I went into that appointment very sure that I was 6 weeks and 1 day pregnant, if I did the math correctly. And sure enough, I got an ultrasound and the baby was in there. It was the coolest experience. I wish I had a video, but they said no videoing. But the second that they put the Doppler in there, it like lit up on the screen a little bean. It's just like, it was a tiny little bean at 6 weeks, and I just could not believe it, because of course you go into that appointment with a lot of nerves, and just uncertainty, because at that point all I had was a positive pregnancy test and nothing else. I really didn't have even that many symptoms at 6 weeks. And so it was really scary going in there, really exciting, just like all the emotions. But sure enough, the little bean was in there, and we got to hear the heartbeat. They said that usually the heartbeat you can only hear by 6 weeks, maybe 6.5, 7 weeks. So she said if I'd come in like a day or two earlier, we probably wouldn't have been able to hear it. So it was just perfect timing. I was measuring exactly 6 weeks and 1 day. So I looked at Kyle, I was like, I told you. And he thought it was so funny that I timed it down to the exact day. I knew exactly how far along I was. And they said that the little bean was measuring exactly 6 weeks and 1 day. So that was correct, the day that I ovulated and conceived. We got to hear the heartbeat. Like I said, it was 123 beats per minute, which is really strong, healthy heartbeat. And the baby was a really good size. And so that was a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago. And they scheduled my next appointment for when I was 8 weeks, just to make sure that the baby was progressing and growing as it should be. Typically that 8-week mark is when, I don't know, my doctor made it seem like that 8-week mark is when you can kind of take like a deep breath. If the baby is measuring at a healthy rate at 8 weeks, has a healthy heartbeat, healthy size, your chances are really good of continuing forward, having it be a viable pregnancy. So I'm very, very excited for that 8-week appointment. My 8-week appointment is on Tuesday, so it's almost Friday. So I just have a few more days until my 8-week appointment. I cannot wait. I might try to get a picture or a video, like sneak one during that appointment, just because the ultrasounds are truly like the most incredible, surreal experience ever. But yeah, that's kind of a little catch up to this point. It feels so weird that I haven't been able to share anything about this online. I have been filming YouTube videos. I've been posting on Instagram, hanging out with all my friends and my family. I had to go through Christmas and New Year's surrounded by all of my closest friends and family and not be able to say a word to them. It was actually extremely hard. I obviously couldn't drink during the holidays. I'm not a big drinker, but I will during the holidays occasionally sip on some champagne or something. And so the fact that I couldn't drink anything during the holidays, I feel like people have got to be questioning, because I did not drink a single thing throughout Christmas or New Year's. I may have held some drinks just to look like I was drinking it, but definitely couldn't drink anything. So yeah, the holidays is kind of a tough time to be newly pregnant and not be able to tell anybody. So I'm very excited. We plan to tell people around Valentine's Day. So in about 1 month, I'll be about 12 weeks, and that's when we plan to share the news and tell our friends and family, and then of course tell you guys. So I cannot wait for that moment. I'm so excited for this video to come out because that means we can finally tell the world and it's not a big secret anymore. As far as symptoms go, my symptoms have been pretty, I don't know if I want to say mild, just kind of different than what I expected. I expected pregnancy to be like throwing up every day, like super, super sick. And I'm really lucky I haven't had that. I haven't felt great. I had about 1 week right around Christmas time where I was really nauseous. I could not eat anything, couldn't keep anything down. The sight of food made me sick to my stomach. Really, really nauseous, but it really only lasted a few days, and then it lightened up and my appetite has come back, but I feel just like a general queasiness after everything that I eat. It's really frustrating because even if the food that I'm eating looks good and tastes good, like while I'm eating it and like right at the end, it starts to like repulse me and I start feeling really queasy at the end. I can't eat a lot of the same foods that I used to, especially junk food. It's like pregnancy really is trying to test me because all the foods that I like used to enjoy just make me feel sick to my stomach, and my digestion, you guys, it's true what they say. Pregnancy really messes with your digestion. I am so bloated all the time. Like that feeling that you get, girls, when you eat like a meal that just doesn't sit right and your stomach is like hard as a rock and you're so uncomfortable. I am like that every single day. I looked 6 months pregnant when I was only 6 weeks pregnant. I literally had to hide my belly on New Year's Eve because I was so bloated. I look at the pictures and I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally have a belly. It's crazy how bloated you get so early on in your pregnancy, and I've heard that it actually goes away, like in your second trimester, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, my digestion, I've been so bloated. I have really bad, just like gas and indigestion. Nothing sits right. Everything I eat just like hurts my stomach. I've been pretty tired. I haven't been like overly tired to where I can't go to work or anything. I've been getting through my days, but definitely when I get home, I hit the couch and I don't move from it. I've been quite the couch potato for the first trimester so far. But yeah, that is pretty much it. As far as like first signs of pregnancy, I really didn't have much. Like I said, there was nothing that like stuck out to me that made me think, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. But these are a few things that looking back on, I now realize were kind of strange. I had been having some bloody noses just like when I blow my nose in the morning, and I have read that that is actually a sign of pregnancy, and that happens just throughout your pregnancy. But yeah, it's something that I'd never really had before. I've never had a bloody nose in my life, and so like a week before I took my pregnancy test, I've been noticing like every time I blew my nose there was a lot of blood in it. And I was sneezing constantly. This is a really weird pregnancy symptom that I looked up and found out is actually a sign of pregnancy. Sneezing. It, like, I guess pregnancy messes with your sinuses. I was sneezing, I'm not kidding, 50 times a day. It only lasted for probably a week. It was like the week before, or like probably the week after I ovulated. I was sneezing 50 times a day. It was crazy. I like could not teach. I'd be in the middle of a lesson and have to sneeze every 2 minutes. So weird. And looking back on it, and I looked it up, and that is a sign. And a lot of other girls said that they had that same thing. So look out if you're sneezing a lot, take a test. I had a few moments of like dizzy, like lightheadedness, nothing that made me like pass out, but just I'd be walking around my classroom and all of a sudden it would kind of like, I'd go through like a little wave and I'd feel a little dizzy, a little lightheaded for just like a second, and then it would go away. But I remember feeling that multiple times throughout that week, and I was like, so weird, like I never usually get lightheaded. And then I had really bad lower back pain. The week that I started my period that I thought that I was spotting, that whole week my lower back ached and ached and ached. It doesn't hurt anymore, thank goodness, but the first week or two of finding out, my lower back was really, really sore. And then of course the spotting, which I later found out was a sign of pregnancy. So now coming up on 7 weeks pregnant, a few of the symptoms that I've had is being out of breath more easy. I It also could be because I'm out of shape because I've been laying on a couch pretty much for 7 weeks, but I get so out of breath. It's actually hilarious. Kyle's like, are you okay? Like, I will get up to make a smoothie and I'm like deep breathing. Teaching makes me like have to take deep breaths. Just walking out to my car, I get in my car, I'm deep breathing, which I feel like I always associated that type of like out of breath with third trimester, like big belly, but I've heard a lot of girls say that they had it in the first trimester too. So yeah, been really out of breath. Indigestion still going strong. I have to sleep sitting up some nights because my indigestion is so bad. I've been having to take some medicine for it and make sure that I don't eat past like 6 or 7 p.m. and make sure that I'm not eating anything like spicy or fatty or like greasy because that really like spikes my indigestion. So yeah, that's been pretty bad. My bladder has been filling so easily. This is something I've always heard as well. I always thought pregnant women peed more because their uterus was growing, so it was like putting pressure on their bladder, which is part of it. But I've read a lot of facts, as you can tell, about the first trimester. And in your first trimester and throughout pregnancy, your kidneys actually produce more urine because it's trying to flush out more toxins. So it's not just that your uterus is pressing on your bladder, but your kidneys are actually just producing more urine. So that's why pregnant women have to pee so often. And it's really frustrating because I already pee a lot because I drink so much water. I drink like 5 of these a day. And I usually do have to pee like once in the middle of the night because I drink a whole one of these before bed. But lately it's pretty bad. Like I'm waking up every other hour to wake up or to pee. And it's frustrating because I wake up and I have to pee and I look at the clock and it's only been like an hour or 2. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I literally cannot sleep for like long spurts. So I guess it's preparing me for not being able to sleep for long periods of time. I had pretty bad insomnia. I think it's actually getting a little bit better. The first couple of weeks, again, it could have just been like anxiety about like being pregnant. I would like wake myself up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. But it was really weird. I usually have no problem sleeping at all. I'm a sleepy girl. Like the second my head hits the pillow, I'm out. But I found myself having a hard time falling asleep. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to fall back asleep. So yeah, I've heard that pregnancy insomnia is a thing, and I definitely struggled with that for the first few weeks. The current symptoms that I've been feeling like every day this week at 7 weeks though is sore boobs. Got some sore boobies. They started getting really, really sore right around 7 weeks. I was a little concerned because I always heard that that was a symptom, but I didn't have, my boobs weren't sore at all prior to finding out that I was pregnant and then right after I found out I was pregnant. So it was weird. It was like a symptom I almost wanted, because I always thought that that was a sign of pregnancy. Oh, but don't worry. If you're 6 weeks and you don't have sore boobs yet, it is coming. They are so sore that like sleeping is really painful, like having any pressure on them, standing up, just like gravity really hurts. My dogs, I've realized, love to kick me in the boob. They're always stretching out in bed, like hit me in the boob, elbow me in the boob. Yeah, just all around. Boobs hurt so bad. And I've been having a lot of cramping. That's something I also didn't know was common during pregnancy. I just don't hear a lot of girls talk about this symptom, but since the day I found out I was pregnant, I have had cramps. Sometimes they feel like period cramps, but other times they feel really different. It feels like a stretching and a pulling down there, which makes sense because your uterus is growing, and your uterus actually doubles in size by the time you're 7 weeks pregnant. So it grows rapidly, super fast, because the baby grows really fast. And yeah, I've been feeling it. It's like every single day I feel a lot of pressure down there, a lot of cramping. So that was something I'd never heard girls talk about before. But that is pretty much the gist of my symptoms. Nothing too bad, nothing that is like keeping me on bed rest or anything like that. I feel very blessed that I haven't thrown up, just queasy more than anything, but I feel very blessed that for the most part I feel great in this pregnancy. I know I'm only 7 weeks, so I need to like knock on wood. I know a lot of people said the symptoms really hit them around like 8 or 9 weeks, so stay tuned. They could get a lot worse from here on out. But yeah, just wanted to catch you guys up, and I think that's it as far as the whole 7 weeks update. Baby is the size of a blueberry today. I have been using the app What to Expect to track my pregnancy. So baby is the size of a blueberry, and it's really cool. It kind of shows you what the baby looks like inside of you, and it's crazy that at 7 weeks it already looks like a little a little tiny forming person. It's growing limbs this week. Its ears are forming. It's starting to form all of its organs, kidneys, stuff like that. So it's really, really cool. It's been just the craziest experience ever. I will check in with you guys at my 8-week appointment. Okay, good morning. I am 8 weeks and 2 days this morning. I had my ultrasound yesterday, my 8-week ultrasound yesterday, and it went great. I didn't vlog. I thought I was gonna vlog yesterday. Also, sorry, I'm like talking quiet. I just woke up like 10 minutes ago. I am about to get ready for work, but I thought I would vlog. But I was like really, really nervous all day yesterday, a lot more nervous than I thought I would be for my 8-week ultrasound. I felt really good after my 6-week ultrasound, but for some reason that 8-week mark just felt like a really big milestone. So I really wanted to make it through that 8-week ultrasound, just make sure everything was okay and baby was growing. So yeah, I was just so nervous and anxious all day yesterday, but we had our appointment and it went so well. It was amazing. Kyle actually surprised me. He worked yesterday, and unfortunately a lot of appointments that you can get for ultrasounds are during the day, and his schedule's really busy. He usually works during the day, at least during the week, sometimes even on the weekends. So he just started a new rotation. Ironically, he just started his OB rotation. So he's been in a lot of like labors and deliveries lately, but he didn't think he'd be able to make it because he worked last night. And my appointment was at 1:30. But he surprised me. He like knocked on my car window whenever I was getting ready to get out of my car in the parking lot to go into my doctor's appointment. So he surprised me there, and it was really nice because I was so nervous, so I really needed him there. So that was really sweet of him to surprise me. He said that his attending was really understanding about it. He told her that it was my 8-week ultrasound, and she said, oh, go ahead and go. So that was really, really nice of her to let him go in the middle of the day like that. So yeah, the doctor came in, and I thought that we'd for sure do another transvaginal ultrasound because I just figured out only 8 weeks, that was the only way to see baby. But apparently you could start seeing baby with a Doppler at 8 weeks, just kind of like depending on your body type, she said. So she decided to try it, so she wheeled in one of the Doppler ultrasounds, and sorry, my heat just kicked on, it's kind of loud. She wheeled in one of the Doppler ultrasounds, and I did not expect that. I expected to do the transvaginal one, so that was really nice to be able to do it just on my stomach. A little bit less invasive, it's kind of nice. And it just, I don't know, it just felt so real and I don't know, really cool that they can already see the baby just on my stomach. And sure enough, the second that she put it on my stomach, the baby showed up on the screen. It just looks like, it still kind of just looks like a little gummy bear. I'll put a picture on the screen. I couldn't even really tell what I was looking at, but my doctor pointed out what everything was, and you could actually kind of see the head was like pointing down, and then the body, and then you can see like the rump, and then there's like tiny little hands that like stick out, and then tiny little legs that stick out in the back that she pointed out to us. And then you can't really see it in the ultrasound picture, but she was pointing out on the screen, you could see the brain. She said that she could see the brain forming, and then you could see the little heart like flickering on the screen, which is my favorite part. That's always what I look for right away. I always am like, does it have a heartbeat? Like the second that she pulls up on the screen. And yeah, you can see like the little heartbeat flickering on the screen, which is just like the best, most relieving feeling ever. I can't even really describe how good it feels to be able to see that your baby has a heartbeat. And sure enough, the baby was tracking right on time. I would have been measuring exactly 8 weeks in 1 day, and that's what baby was measuring. I think the baby's like 1.69 centimeters, which is just so funny. It's like so tiny. It's like half an inch big, but it's crazy that they can see it so clearly like that on an ultrasound. So yeah, just honestly the craziest, most like anxiety relieving day ever. And it did kind of just feel like a big milestone making it to 8 weeks. I don't know if the anxiety of pregnancy ever really goes away. I've heard a lot of women say it never really does, that there's always something to be anxious about even when you're 20 weeks pregnant and 30 weeks pregnant. But I am hoping I'll feel a little less anxious and worried in my second trimester. I've heard a lot of moms say that's when it gets a little bit more exciting and less nerve-wracking. So I'm excited for that. I'll be in my second trimester, like I said, around Valentine's Day, which is when I'll be posting this video, but I'm excited for that. I didn't expect my anxiety to be so bad with pregnancy, and trust me, I know what y'all are gonna say. You're gonna say, just wait till the baby gets here, and that's kind of what I've read. I read that pregnancy is just gearing you up for motherhood because the worry never stops. Whenever you have a baby, you're always worried about them, whether they're in your womb or 5 years old or 18 years old. You never stop loving and worrying about them. So it definitely starts early, let me tell you. But it's simultaneously like the best feeling in the entire world and the greatest thing that I've seriously ever experienced. I told Kyle when we were at the doctor's appointment, I was like, this is the biggest thing to ever happen to me and to us in our entire life. Like our entire life, this is definitely the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. It's just so surreal to be going through it. And it's also so crazy that we haven't even told our family and friends yet, because that will make it feel 10 times more real. It's been really, really hard not being able to tell anyone. So I cannot wait to be able to tell family and friends. So 8-week appointment went well. As far as symptoms, I have been writing down my symptoms just so I don't forget. It's really weird, and it actually made me a little bit nervous a couple of days before my appointment, but right around 8 weeks, my cramping completely stopped. It's almost as if it stopped overnight. I know I said earlier in the video that I had been cramping like a lot, like kind of like period type cramps, like some like just stretching feelings down there. I had been having that since I was like 4 or 5 weeks pregnant, and pretty much daily. Like it would come and go throughout the day, but definitely daily. And so I was kind of, I don't know, it's just me because I have anxiety, but when it went away, I definitely got a little worried. I was like, oh my gosh, like why am I not cramping anymore, you know? But I've kind of done some research on it, and I think it's pretty normal. And actually a lot of people say at that like 8-week point, a lot of their symptoms kind of lessened. And so yeah, my cramping just kind of like went away overnight, which is really weird. And the bloating too. I was so bloated, like I said, for weeks, especially from like 5 to 7 weeks. So bloated. And it's weird. I swear it's like I woke up one day and I just wasn't nearly as bloated. I still have just like a lot of like indigestion, like acid reflux, but definitely not nearly as bloated as I was. My appetite though still has not been the same. It's definitely kind of, it comes and goes, but honestly like most of the day, and even like right now, just even thinking about food makes me really queasy, and I'll get like a random burst of appetite and I'll eat, and it's like the second that I finish eating, I'm like grossed out at what I just ate and I like can't imagine eating it again. I don't know, it's really weird. My appetite just comes and goes, but most of the day I have to eat just like really random things. I have to eat like crackers and fruit, things like that always sound good to me. Like smoothies, I've been living on smoothies. Like that's the easiest thing for me to get down. It always tastes good. It never grosses me out, which is good because I can just like pack it full of nutrients. I just pack it full of like greens, like leafy greens and fruit. But other than that, it's been really, really hard for me to eat food. Unfortunately, I've been craving a lot of fast food. Like last night we got Steak and Shake. That was the only thing that sounded good, the only thing I could stomach. But I'm just trying to remind myself hopefully it won't be forever. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm eating because I think that's really what matters more than anything right now. And luckily, I'm not throwing up. Thank God. I feel for all of you moms out there who throw up during your first trimester. I cannot imagine getting sick every single day. I hate getting sick. So I'll take the queasiness over actually throwing up. Overall, my digestion actually feels a lot better. Like I said, I'm not as bloated. My stomach doesn't feel as bad. I think it's kind of just like my body adjusting. I think for some reason, and I'm sure a lot of people are like this, but those first few weeks of pregnancy, I think just like messed up my digestive system. And I know it's because like when your uterus expands, it's literally pushing all of your intestines, your organs like up. Your stomach is getting like pushed, and so I think it just kind of like wreaks havoc on your entire digestive system. And so it was really hard for my body to adjust to it, but I think maybe the sign that I'm less bloated and don't like feel as bad because I'm adjusting. I don't know. But the two things that are still going very strong is my acne. I am still blessed with a lot of acne, which I know a lot of old wives' tales say that it's a girl if you are breaking out. And let me tell ya, I have thought that it was a girl since the very beginning because my acne has been so bad, and I've never struggled with acne my entire life. I've been very blessed to have very clear skin my entire life. But I don't know. It could just be that I'm getting off birth control for the first time, so my skin's just like going crazy, or it could be pregnancy. I don't know. But I know a lot of people would probably say it's a girl, and you know what? It might be. We have had a feeling that it's a girl this whole time. And other than that, my boobs are still very, very sore. So that's another consistent thing that actually I think is getting worse, especially in the mornings. They're so sore. It's like I can barely get up out of bed. So yeah, that is first trimester, 8 weeks. So I will check in with you guys at 9 or 10 weeks. Hi guys. Okay, I wanted to update you. I haven't updated you in about a week. I've also realized I've looked like god awful in most of these like pregnancy videos, from me like finding out to this vlog, because it's all just been so like real and in the moment. And I'm probably gonna look back and wish that I put on some makeup, but that's okay. This is just real. It is what it is. You can probably hear it in my voice, but I'm sick. I caught some sort of bug over the weekend, and it's been a really hard week for me because on top of the first trimester stuff of just already being like tired and dealing with sickness, I got a little bug. I'm not sure what it is. It's like a cold or the flu. But I've just felt horrible all week. Luckily, I had a few days off of school because of the cold weather and the snow. So that was really nice just to be able to like rest at home. But I'm actually staying home from work today because I just could not manage to get to work today. I just was feeling so awful, just really bad congestion, headache, body aches, stuff like that. So it's definitely been a pretty tough week for me as far as trying to just like stay positive. I don't know. I feel like this has been one of the hardest weeks as far as just like mentally getting through the first trimester, because it's just going by so slow. And I feel like everyone says, oh, just wait till the 12 weeks, just wait till you get to your second trimester, you'll feel so much better physically and mentally. You'll be feeling like more positive and hopeful and stuff. And I've just found like the whole month of like January in general, I feel like it's really hard for people. But especially whenever you're not feeling good from pregnancy, and me not being able to tell people, like no one knows besides Kyle and a very few select people. I've just felt kind of isolated. Okay, sorry, Nala is gonna come over and join us. But yeah, I've just been feeling like a little isolated and alone, not being able to talk to anybody, especially my mom and my dad and my close family and friends, like not being able to talk to them about it. And I know that's my choice. I could have told them by now, I'm 9 weeks and 2 days pregnant, by the way, if I didn't say that. I know I could have told them by now, but Kyle and I have both just chosen to wait until around our 12-week scan to tell them. But yeah, it's just been really lonely not being able to talk to them about it and just kind of having to like sit with all this by myself. And it's getting harder and harder not saying anything. And I feel like I've been avoiding people. I feel like I've been avoiding my family and friends. And because whenever I see them and they're like, "What's new? How are you?" It just feels like I'm lying to them. And I'm like, "Good, like nothing really new." And it just feels like I'm holding back like the biggest secret ever that I just want to talk to them about. And it just feels really weird not being able to share literally the biggest news of my entire life with them. So I feel like I've just been avoiding people, which hasn't helped my mental health. I feel like either because I've just been so isolated in my home over the past 2 months. So I've just been kind of like dreaming of it being a few weeks from now. And I know it's so soon. We have our 10-week scan next week, in which we get to find out the gender and we get our genetic testing back. And then after all that, Kyle and I said we'd talk about like starting to tell family. And then I have my 12-week scan, obviously, in 2 weeks from that, which we'll definitely have told family around then. So I really just have a few weeks left of the first trimester, which is crazy. A few weeks left until I can like share the news and hopefully be feeling better. I have just been like reflecting back on the first trimester. I've been so, I thought it would be more like obvious fatigue of like, oh, I've just been napping all day every day, but looking back it's like I've just been so tired that I just haven't had energy for the past few weeks. Not to where I have been like napping all day every day or anything like that, but just to the point where like looking back I haven't done anything. I haven't been able to like leave my house for a couple months now. I just don't have energy to do anything. I have no energy to socialize, to like get up off the couch. It takes so much energy for me to do the smallest things, and I think that's what's been so hard. I've just like felt so like useless and like I just can't, I don't have motivation to do anything. It's just the weirdest thing. And so a lot of people say that the second trimester you get all this energy back and you feel so much better. So I'm really, really hoping for that. I'm hoping in like a few weeks, I feel like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, coming up on 10 weeks of pregnancy, it's like, okay, like let's get through this. You're almost to your second trimester, but yeah, the first trimester I feel like nobody talks about, like really, really drags on, especially if you haven't told the news to anybody. Those 3 months just like drag on and on. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at this week. As far as symptoms go, pretty much the same. I feel like my boobs aren't quite as sore as they have been the last couple weeks. And my food aversions are still there. It's really weird. I'm hungry, like I want to eat, but nothing sounds good. So I really just haven't been eating much. I've just been snacking here and there. Like I don't remember the last time I ate a big meal. I feel like the last like couple months, honestly, I've just been snacking like all throughout the day, and if I go a couple hours without snacking, I start to not feel good. And so even if I just eat like a couple crackers, I'll like instantly feel better. So I feel like I've just been like constantly snacking, but when I think of eating like a huge meal, like I have no appetite for that. So it's just a really weird feeling. And even while being sick, it's like I feel like I need to like eat to help make me feel better, but just nothing really sounds good. Like this morning I just ate some cheese and crackers. Like that was my breakfast. Like when I think of making a big meal, it just makes me feel sick. So yeah, I feel like I also just haven't been like eating, which is one of my favorite things to do. I haven't been able to eat like a proper meal in so long, and yeah, I just miss like having an appetite. I miss eating. I miss like getting up and leaving the house and going and doing things besides just going to work and then coming home and like laying on the couch. So yeah, I'm just like praying for better days coming soon, especially with me feeling sick this week. I have felt awful. That hasn't helped. Like I just want to feel better. Just like kind of be on the other side of this. I know the first trimester is really hard, and if you're in the thick of your first trimester, the reason I'm sharing all this is because I've watched a lot of first trimester vlogs, and these type of videos really help me like not feel so alone. I just watched Ruby Holly's first trimester vlog. If you guys don't watch her, go watch her. She's so sweet. I love her. She already had her baby, but she did a whole first trimester vlog last year, and it's like an hour long, and I just like loved listening to her because it just really made me feel like I had a friend in this and that I wasn't alone. She was a lot more sick, I think, than I am, but everybody has a completely different experience their first trimester. That's what I've come to know, so don't compare your experiences to anybody else, but just know your experience is valid no matter what you're experiencing, whether you're super sick or just kind of like mildly sick like me, or some people have literally no symptoms. A lot of my friends, a lot of my girlfriends had no sickness at all in their first trimester. So yeah, it's just, I feel like it's a road that a lot of women obviously go down and like don't talk about it much. So I wish this was more talked about. So if you're kind of in the thick of your first trimester right now, just know it does get better. And I keep telling myself this, it will get better. And I'm just so excited for the second trimester. So hopefully the second trimester will bring me less like fatigue, less food aversions, more appetite, less anxiety. I feel like my anxiety has been really bad this week. Just like little things will convince me that something's wrong. Like I'll like feel a little twinge, like a little cramp down there, and I'm immediately like, oh my gosh, is everything okay? Or like with my boobs not being as sore as the day before, I immediately go down a rabbit hole. I think the worst immediately, like something's wrong. And then with me getting sick this week, I've been asking Kyle like every day, like, are you sure everything's okay with the baby? Like, is there anything I need to do? Because unfortunately, as a lot of you guys know, if you're sick while pregnant, you can't take any medicine. I mean, they say that you can take Tylenol. Tylenol is like the one thing that you can take throughout pregnancy, but I've also looked up a lot of research about it, and there's not a lot of great research that suggests that it doesn't have negative effects on the baby. So I've still been very hesitant with taking Tylenol. I just took it one time whenever my headache was like killing me. And obviously if you have a fever, take Tylenol, because it's better to take Tylenol than to have a fever. I've been monitoring my temperature like crazy this week. I had the nurse at school check it. I checked it at home this morning just to make sure, because I know when sick, the worst thing for the baby is like your body temperature rising, and like having a fever is really, really bad. So I've just been really nervous about that, making sure that everything's okay with the baby if I'm sick. I don't know. My anxiety's just been really bad this week, just overthinking everything. It's like I'll get my scan, and I'm so grateful. I know a lot of women don't get a lot of scans, and they have to wait until like 12 weeks to get their first scan. I can't imagine. I had a scan at 6 weeks, at 8 weeks, and I'll get another one at 10. So like every 2 weeks I've gotten a scan, which is amazing. And it's like after I get that scan, like after my 8-week one, I was just like on cloud 9. I felt so good and confident. My doctor really reassured me and said that everything looks great, baby looks healthy. And so that first week after the scan, I always feel really good. And then it's like the week after that, I always start going into like another like anxiety spiral, like, oh, well, it's been a whole week and a half now. Like, what if something's wrong now? And I get really nervous again for my next scan. So I definitely already have the nerves coming up for my scan coming up on Tuesday for my 10-week appointment. But I think that's normal. I think a lot of women get nervous before their scans because it is still early. I'm hopeful I won't feel nervous like this at my 25-week scan, but yeah, definitely still nervous just being in my first trimester. And I feel silly being nervous, and I know when I tell my family and friends, they'll be like, why were you so nervous? Kyle's always telling me, get off Google, stop looking things up, because it just makes your anxiety worse. But anything that I feel, I'll instantly like Google, like, is this normal? So yeah, if you are a fellow anxious pregnant girly, I feel you, and it is really, really hard during the first trimester when you hear so many stories. So that's another thing, is I've been really trying to stay off of like, I don't know, a lot of social media because a lot of my For You page will be like stories of miscarriages or things like that. And if I ever see the word miscarriage, like I keep scrolling, I don't click it. I just do not want to read any stories of stuff like that because it just makes me spiral and like really get in my head. So yeah, if you are also kind of struggling in your first trimester because of stuff like that, I feel you, and I'm also hopeful that it won't last forever. And that's why I'm excited to make this first trimester vlog to hopefully look back on one day whenever I am big and have like a healthy baby, big belly growing, and like, I don't know, kind of like on the other side of it. I'm hopeful that one day I'll be able to look back at this and just be grateful for how far I've come. So I hope that all makes sense. I know this video has just been a lot of me talking about how I'm feeling, but that is kind of what the first trimester is all about. Like I said, we have my 10-week scan on Tuesday, and I'm going to get my blood drawn. We're going to find out the gender hopefully within that next week, and then we're going to tell family. So lots and lots of very exciting stuff coming up that I cannot wait for, and it's like the only thing that is getting me through these really hard weeks. So yeah, hopefully I'll start feeling better by next week. Hello you guys. Okay, it is a week later. Just wanted to check in. I am a little over 10 weeks pregnant, and I had my 10-week ultrasound this morning, which of course I was so nervous for, and it went great. Today was the first time that the ultrasound actually looked like a little baby. I'll put a little picture on the screen. It's a tiny little baby still, but I feel like prior to this, all of the ultrasounds just looked like, I don't know, just like little gummy bears. Like they didn't really have a shape of like a baby, and now it kind of looked like a little baby, which was so cool to see. And what was even cooler is that we could see the baby move, and it was moving a lot. Like the doctor had me kind of like shake my belly, and you could see the baby going like up and down, like a lot, like jumping up and down, is moving its little legs, you can see its little hands. So that was so cool and just like so surreal to be able to see it in there moving around. I feel like up until now it's always just kind of looked like, I don't know, it just looks like a bean that doesn't move, you know, it's just like a little dot in your belly. And so now to see it actually looking like a baby that's moving around is so weird. And it's weird that it's moving around in there and I can't feel it yet. They said I might be able to feel it in like a month from now. But yeah, so cool. It was the best appointment ever. I always feel so relieved and so happy leaving those appointments. I also did give some blood this morning. So they took a lot, like 6 vials of blood they test for a bunch of different things. And then we did end up doing the genetic testing. So the genetic testing and the gender will be in hopefully by next week. They said sometimes it can take a week, sometimes it can take a little bit over a week. But I'm really hopeful that it'll be in by like early next week. It's Tuesday today, so hopefully by next Tuesday it'll be in. We are also starting to kind of like plan when we're going to tell our families and stuff. My next ultrasound appointment isn't until a month from now, whenever I'll be like 14 weeks. So we decided that once our genetic testing results and stuff come in, it's time to tell everybody, which is so exciting. I've been waiting for this for so long. I feel like it's been the longest 10 weeks of my life, not being able to tell my family and friends, mainly because I see my family and friends so often. So to have to see them and talk with them, not be able to like tell them this news has been so hard. So I cannot wait. We don't know exactly like how we're going to tell everybody. I'm not sure if I'm going to make a video of it, just because it's sometimes really hard to film people because 1, it makes them more uncomfortable if they see the camera, and 2, they get suspicious. So if I'm like pulling out a camera, they're gonna be like, okay, like something's going on, and I really want it to be a surprise. I don't want to ruin the moment. So I might try to sneak a few clips, but I have a feeling most of the moments will probably be pretty private. But I really want to tell my parents, so mom and dad, if you're watching this, I'm like dying to tell you guys. I'm hoping to tell them this weekend, if not like early next week. So we'll see. I have plans to see them this weekend. We'll see if we can come up with like a cute way to tell them. And then we have plans to tell Kyle's whole family next week. I'm hanging out with 2 of my best friends, my maid of honor at my wedding and one of my bridesmaids. We are hanging out next week as well. So we have a couple plans ready, and I'm just starting to like brew some ideas of cute ways that I can tell them. As far as I know, no one is suspicious. my maid of honor, my best friend, is totally thrown off. She has no idea because we were kind of talking about it and I said a few white lies that made her think I was definitely not pregnant. So she's going to be so surprised, so thrown off. And yeah, just our whole family is going to be so surprised. I cannot wait to tell my sister-in-law, my brothers. It's going to be so, so fun. So that is the plan for next week. Hopefully next time I check in with you guys will be around the time that we are finding out gender and telling our friends and family, which is going to be around 11 or 12 weeks, which is the time I've been waiting for so long. But yeah, that is pretty much all the updates as far as like symptoms go this week. I'm feeling a lot better. My food aversions are still there, but they're definitely a little bit more mild, I would say, but it's still just like hard for me to find things that sound good. I've been telling Kyle, I feel like I've just been like a picky eater more than anything. I'm not like sick, I'm not getting nauseous at foods, but I just feel picky, like things just don't sound good. So it's really hard for me to find foods to eat throughout the day. My boobs are still very sore. That's definitely my #1 symptom. I know the second I wake up, I'm like, yep, still pregnant. Like they're so sore. But other than that, no crazy symptoms. I've been feeling okay. So we'll see how I feel in the second trimester, which I'll be in the second trimester in just a couple of weeks, which is crazy. We'll see how I start feeling. I know a lot of people start feeling 100% better in the second trimester. So yeah, that is the update for 10 weeks and I will check in with you guys hopefully next week at 11 weeks. Hello you guys. Okay, I actually have not updated you for a few weeks. So I think the last time that I filmed I was like 9 weeks pregnant, almost 10 weeks, and I am officially 13 weeks entering my second trimester, and so I wanted to come on here and first of all kind of explain the last couple weeks and then like talk about where I'm at now. So I know I mentioned briefly that I would be like posting gender reveal and telling our parents and friends and all that stuff, which I did film. We know the gender of our baby. We're so excited. We did a fun gender reveal with all of our family and friends. We went in for our genetic testing at 10 weeks and we ended up getting the results a week later, so right as I turned 11 weeks, and whenever we got our genetic testing results and gender results and all that, we decided to tell everyone, and that was seriously the most fun week of my entire life. I will never forget it. We told Kyle's parents, we told my parents, told my grandma, of course my brothers and his sister and brother-in-law, sister-in-laws, and then we told our best friends. So I told a few of my close girlfriends, just one-on-one. I didn't film a lot of me telling my friends, just because it's really hard to film when you're like trying to surprise someone. It's like they will kind of know what you're doing and they'll suspect something if you pull out a camera, and also I just don't want them to feel uncomfortable with like a camera in their face. So I told a few of my close girlfriends, and then we decided to surprise like a majority of our group of friends that live here in St. Louis by inviting them over for dinner one night. So we didn't tell them anything, we just invited them over for dinner, and we ended up having our gender reveal that night. So basically they walked in and they saw like all of our decorations for our gender reveal and they were so confused. It said like boy or girl, like pink and blue balloons everywhere, and they were all so confused. I wish I got videos of all their reactions walking in. They were like, boy or girl? What? Like they didn't know we were pregnant. And so we basically just surprised them all when they all came. We're like, surprise, we're pregnant and welcome to our gender reveal. So it was really, really fun to surprise all of our friends that way. Of course, our family already knew, but they were also there that night. So yeah, that was such a fun week. I do have videos of us telling my mom and dad, telling Kyle's mom and dad, and telling my grandma. So I will post those. I'm going to do that in a separate video just because I know this one's getting kind of long, so I decided I'll make a separate video of us telling friends and family and also the gender reveal. So stay tuned for that. I'm probably going to film, or I'm probably going to edit that video this week and get it up very shortly. So I know that everyone's really excited to find out the gender, and I'll definitely post that as soon as I can. I just posted on Instagram yesterday, and it feels so weird finally being able to share with you guys. Like, just surreal. I feel like the first trimester, as you guys have seen from this vlog, has been super, super long and hard for me, and it feels so good finally entering my second trimester and being able to just like share the news with everybody. So if you're not following me over on Instagram, definitely go follow me there. I pretty much post there first with everything, I feel like. So I posted my announcement over there first, probably going to post the gender over there. I'll try to post the gender around the same time, but I might end up posting the gender reveal over there first. So if you're not following me over on Instagram, I will put my handle on the screen. But yeah, it just feels really, really good now that everyone knows, all our friends and family and even social media knows. I'm actually pulled up at my school right now. It's President's Day. We're off school today, but I'm running a bunch of errands and I left my laptop at school. So I need to go pick it up because I do have a bunch of videos to edit, and we ended up having a snow day on Friday. So I wasn't expecting to keep my laptop at school over the weekend. So that's kind of what I'm doing in my car. But I did want to kind of close out this video and update you guys on how I'm doing and how I'm feeling now that I am entering my second trimester. So like I said, I am 13 weeks today. Physically, I'm feeling 100 times better. I cannot even explain the shift that I felt once I hit about 12 weeks. I woke up in the morning and had so much energy. I just felt like myself again. It was almost kind of like I didn't even realize how bad I was feeling the first trimester. Like I felt like a cloud was lifted off of me. I feel like looking back at it, of course it was really hard for me, but I didn't realize just how tired I was, how exhausted I was. It was really hard to do anything like at all. Just like leave the house was really, really hard. So whenever I got my energy back, I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to feel like. Like this is what my usual these are what my usual energy levels are. So yeah, I would say around like 10 or 11 weeks my food aversion started lifting, and then by 12 weeks I feel like my energy was fully back. And so now physically I feel really good. I am still struggling with like a lot of congestion. I feel like that has been a constant since the very beginning, and I know that's a really common pregnancy symptom, but it is weird how not a lot of people talk about that symptom because it is so common. My belly is starting to grow just a teeny tiny bit. I feel like at 12 weeks I woke up and was like, whoa, like I actually noticed some bump growth down there. And don't get me wrong, most of it is bloat. I feel like in a lot of the pictures I post I look like 6 months pregnant. Really most of that is just bloat because I've been so bloated the last couple of weeks, but definitely a lot of it is bump because I just really can't suck it in anymore, and it's showing in a lot of my clothes a tiny bit, not like to where other people would really notice, but I notice and my friends and family notice. So it's really sweet having a little bump now and actually being able to feel my body changing and be reminded that like, whoa, baby really is growing in there. I surprised Kyle with a private ultrasound at, I think I was around 12 weeks, it was last week, for Valentine's Day because his work schedule is so busy he wasn't able to go with me to my last ultrasound, and he might not be able to come with me to my next one. So I surprised him with a private ultrasound, which I didn't realize how convenient those are. They're fairly inexpensive to do and they're amazing. They get you in there, you get so much like one-on-one time with the baby. They gave me like 10 minutes of ultrasound time. I got to see the baby move. I will put a video or some pictures on the screen for you guys to see. The baby was moving around so much, kicking and jumping. We got to see the baby hiccuping and just like rolling over literally from the back all the way to the baby's side, like moving around so much. I could not believe it because at my 10-week ultrasound, the baby was just kind of like a little bean. Like you could kind of see like the head and legs, but you really had to like squint. And now at the 12-week, it's crazy how much just in 2 weeks the baby has grown. The second that the ultrasound tech put the wand on my belly, the baby like flashed up on the screen, was so big, has a big head, a big belly, long legs, kicking and moving around so much. So I feel like it's starting to be super surreal to us now. And yeah, I just was like looking at Kyle's face and I could tell he was like, oh my gosh, there's a real baby in there. And yeah, it's just the coolest feeling ever. I feel like now that I'm finally entering my second trimester, it's feeling more real, it's feeling exciting, I feel better physically. My anxieties are getting less and less. I know you guys kind of noticed throughout this video that I struggled a lot with anxiety during my first trimester, which I think is absolutely normal and so common for women. If you don't struggle with anxiety during the first trimester, that's awesome. I know a lot of my friends didn't at all, and some of them really did. But every woman's so different. Everybody is so different. But if you are struggling with anxiety in the first trimester, just know that's normal. Just take it one day at a time. If I could go back, I would just tell myself, just try to relax and enjoy this as much as possible, because at the end of the day, you don't have control over the situation, unfortunately. So you just need to let go, let God, and just believe and just kind of be positive. And I know that's really hard in the moment when you feel like crap and you just like feel so nervous and anxious about every single stage. And I'm still, you know, I still have my anxieties and my nerves, even being at 13 weeks, because I am still considered very early on in my pregnancy. But it does feel a little bit more reassuring now that baby is big and developed and doing so good, and I get to see the baby kicking and moving. And I don't know, the ultrasounds have just really brought me a lot of peace of mind, and also seeing my belly grow has brought me a lot of peace of mind as well. So yeah, I have my next ultrasound in a couple weeks, which I'm really, really excited about. But since I'm officially entering my second trimester, I am going to end off this video here. I have loved documenting this whole process. Watching it back was kind of hard, but also I think gave me a lot of perspective and a lot of appreciation for where I'm at now. And I'm just so grateful for my body and what it's gone through the past 3 months. And I'm grateful for myself and how strong I've had to stay the past few months. The first trimester is not for the weak. It's super hard mentally and physically. So anyone going through that right now, I'm thinking of you. Just know it does go by fast. Looking back, the days were slow, but I swear the months go by really fast, and you'll get through it, I promise. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the sweet comments on my announcement post on Instagram, on my finding out I'm pregnant video on YouTube. Just the support and the excitement just really makes me even more excited for this and makes it feel even more real. So I just love and appreciate you guys so much. A lot of you guys have been with me since the very beginning, since I was 22, 23 years old. My first year teaching, documenting, classroom setup, and all that stuff that I did when I was younger, to now getting married and becoming a mom for the first time. It's been so fun to document, and I know when I'm old and gray, I'll look back on these videos and just be so grateful that I documented this experience, not just for you guys, but for myself also. So stay tuned for lots of videos to come. I do plan on documenting this whole journey. I know a lot of you guys were asking questions on YouTube about, am I going to continue teaching next year? Am I going to be a stay-at-home mom? Is my YouTube content going to shift? Will I be posting about baby? All of that stuff. I will do a Q&A for you guys. So leave all questions that you have for me down below. Submit them to me over on Instagram. I will do a question box on Instagram soon, and I will do a Q&A and answer all those questions for you guys over on YouTube. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. I think that's all I have to say. And thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, you're a real one. Comment down below if you've made it this far. I know this was a really long video, but I just love and appreciate you guys so much. And thank you for being here. I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye.